Ability. Possession of the means or skill to do something. Active listening. Giving the sender full, undisturbed attention with the intention of fully receiving his or her message. Aggressive communicator. Forceful communication style often carried out in a loud and hostile manner. As part of their employee training, Lisa and Jerome are role-playing in some challenging A situations. Their trainer/coach will provide feedback on what went well and where improvements are needed. What EQ assessment tool is this? Behavioral event interviews, simulation feedback surveys. Assertive communicator. Productive communication style used by those who express their ideas while listening attentively to others. Attraction selection attrition, ASA. A theory holding that 1. Individuals are attracted to organizations whose members are similar to themselves in terms of personality, values, interests, and other attributes. 2. Organizations are more likely to select those who possess knowledge, skills, and abilities similar to the ones their existing members possess, and 3. Over time, those who do not fit in well are more likely to leave. Attrition. The unpredictable and uncontrollable but normal reduction of workforce due to resignations, retirement, sickness, or death. Autocratic style. Leadership style that keeps close control over subordinates and does not seek much input from others. Barrier to effective communication. Factor that prevents the receiver from receiving and understanding the message accurately. Barrier to effective communication. Factor that prevents the receiver from receiving and understanding the message accurately. Behavioral event interviews. Guided interview questions where individuals describe their thoughts and feelings during specific situations and a coach helps establish a development plan. Behavioral event interviews. Guided interview questions where individuals describe their thoughts and feelings during specific situations and a coach helps establish a development plan. Being punctual, refraining from gossip, and having good time management are examples of personal or professional, ethics. Channel. Means of passing information from sender to recipient, such as via face-to-face meeting or telephone call. Channel. Means of passing information from sender to recipient such as via face-to-face meeting or telephone call. Characterize key attributes of leadership and their benefits. Chase is an entry-level worker with a charismatic personality who easily influences his coworkers. This is a type of leadership, formal or informal. Cheyenne Jenkins, VP for a large gas company, wrote a letter to her boss regarding the extremely fraudulent accounting practices in their publicly traded company. She demanded that the company take action. Her letter became public 5 months after she wrote it and was fodder for national outrage. This is an example of Cheyenne continues to work while the matter is investigated. She is likely protected under whistleblowing, Sarbanes-Oxley Act, Internal Transparency, Sallie Mae Act, or Code of Ethics, Securities and Exchange Commission Code of Ethics. Guide that publicly sets out an organization's key values and ethical obligations. Coercive power. Ability to take something away or punish someone for noncompliance. Communication. Sharing understanding and meaning via oral, nonverbal, and written forms. Communications tend to be richer channels and are well suited for complex or unsettling information. Written, nonverbal, oral communication style. Dominant way in which an individual interacts and exchanges information with others. Compare corporate ethical commitments with the reality of how the commitments are acted out in accordance with commitments, or in discord to the commitments. Compare the effectiveness of leadership styles in different situations. Consideration. The relationship-oriented behaviors of a leader. Corporate culture. The attitudes, values, and standards of behavior that distinguishes one organization from another. Corporate social responsibility, CSR philosophy in which a company voluntarily engages in actions that benefit society, be it economically, socially, politically, or environmentally. Cultural alignment. Linking of organizational goals with the employee's personal goals. Cultural diversity. The existence of a variety of cultural or ethnic groups within a workplace. Define corporate social responsibility, CSR, and its importance in the organization and in the community. Define emotional intelligence and its principles. Define organizational culture. The department handles accounts payable, accounts receivable, and payroll. Marketing, human resources, accounting and finance, research and development, information technology. The department handles profit and loss statements, budget reports, and reports to investor and other stakeholders. Marketing, human resources, accounting and finance, research and development, Information technology. The underscore department is responsible for recruiting, screening, interviewing, and placing workers. They may also handle employee relations and training. Marketing, human resources, accounting and finance, research and development, information technology. The underscore department oversees the installation and maintenance of computer network systems within a company. Its primary function is to ensure that the network runs smoothly. Marketing, human resources, accounting and finance, research and development, information technology. The underscore department plays an integral role in the life cycle of a product. While the department usually is separate from sales, production and other divisions, the functions of these areas are related and often require collaboration. Marketing, human resources, accounting and finance, research and development, information technology. The underscore department promotes your business and drives sales of its products or services. It provides the necessary research to identify your target customers and other audiences. Marketing, human resources, accounting and finance, research and development, information technology. Describe the functions within different departments of an organization. Describe the process of design thinking. Design thinking. A method of problem-solving strategy wherein the data collected are expressed visually in order to create new strategies, ways, and methods to solve problems, create opportunities or strengthen weaknesses. Differentiate between leadership and management. Discuss methods to share emotional intelligence concepts with others. Discuss the concepts of ethics as it pertains to emotional intelligence. Distinguish between personal and organizational ethics. Organizational ethics is the application of ethical behavior in a business context, and Dynamo Incorporated has a culture based on energy and creativity. The organization is held together by experimentation, ingenuity, and freedom. Dynamo exhibits what CVF culture? A. Clan. B. Hierarchy. C. Market. D. Adhocracy. Effective communication. When information transmitted is interpreted by the receiver in the way it was intended by the sender. Emotional intelligence. The capacity to be aware of, control, and express one's emotions, and to handle interpersonal relationships judiciously and empathetically. Emotional quotient. The level of a person's emotional intelligence, often as represented by a score in a standardized test. Empathy. Being attuned and sensitive to the emotional states of others. Employee member-centered behaviors. Behaviors that focus on supporting employees. EQ. The level of a person's emotional intelligence, often as represented by a score in a standardized test. Ethics. Principles that serve as a guide about how to behave. Examine how personal values fit within various types of organizations. Expert power. Power based on knowledge and special skill or experience. Explain the competing values framework. Explain the differences among communication styles. Explain the differences among various means of communication. Explain the role of emotional intelligence in our lives. Figuring out when to talk and when to listen requires social skills. Active listening should be outwardly focused, with an underscore listening to speaking ratio. Formal leaders. A person who is officially designated as the leader of a group. Greenwashing. When organizations carry about CSR missions in an inauthentic way, using them to increase publicity rather than to spur real change. How can A be beneficial in the workplace and your personal life? How can having high A affect making ethical decisions? Idealized influence. Form of transformational leadership in which a leader models behaviors and attitude that subordinates choose to emulate. Identify how ethics impacts outcomes in organizations. Identify techniques for enhancing emotional intelligence. Identify techniques for objective self-examination. Identify the 5 bases of power. Illegal ethical dilemma, in which the ethical choice would be in violation of established laws. In an emergency situation, where time is critical, there is little time for group decision-making. This describes what style of leadership? Autocratic, participative, transformational, laissez-faire. Individual contributor. An individual contributor is someone who uses their personal skills to contribute to a team. Individualized consideration. Form of transformational leadership in which a leader takes the time to learn about the talents of each individual and puts them to good use. Influence tactics. The way individuals attempt to influence one another in organizations. Informal leaders. A person who is not officially appointed as the head of a group. Information power. Power that stems from when a leader possesses knowledge that others need or want. Initiating. The task-related behaviors of a leader. Inspirational appeals. Engage values emotions and beliefs to gain support for course of action. Inspirational motivation. Form of transformational leadership in which a leader inspires a passionate vision among subordinates or the organization itself. Intellectual stimulation. Form of transformational leadership in which a leader recognizes the intellect of subordinates and empowers them to contribute towards the success or vision of the organization. Intelligence. The ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. Intelligence quotient. A number representing a person's reasoning ability as compared to the statistical norm or average for their age. Internal transparency. Degree to which an organization operates with openness, communication, and accountability. International business culture. Variations in attitudes, values, goals, and practices shared by individuals, organizations, or societies based on geography. Jaden spends 15 to 20 minutes each writing down his thoughts on self-improvement, and how and why he acts a certain way. What technique for improving is this? Meditation, journaling, feedback. Jamie's manager routinely asks her team for their input in business decisions. Her manager also motivates her team with positive feedback and training, sets clear goals, sets high standards, and very much appreciates the team's work. In fact, her manager encourages her team to look for ways to challenge themselves and perform at their highest potential. What type of leadership does this exemplify? Autocratic, participative, transformational, laissez-faire. Jason gets an undercooked steak and the waitress asks him how he likes his meal. He explodes, yelling at the waitress about her inadequacies regarding remembering his order and demanding that he get a free meal because of the horrible service and incompetent waitstaff. Jason is A. Passive, B. Assertive, C. Aggressive, D. Passive-aggressive. Jessica is an accountant, very organized with a straightforward demeanor. Jules is more bohemian with a free spirit who tends to go with the flow. What barrier to communicating might occur? A. Physical conditions, B. Filtering, C. Selective perception, D. Semantics. Job-centered behaviors. Refers to supervisory functions such as planning, scheduling, coordinating work activities, and providing resources. Journaling. Reflective self-process of recording thoughts and emotions from day to day in order to identify patterns. Knowledge. Facts, information, and skills acquired by a person through experience or education. Laissez-faire style. A largely hands-off leadership style that provides considerable freedom to subordinates. Leader. A person who holds a dominant position within a field and can exercise a high degree of control or influence over others. Leadership. The activity of leading a group of people or an organization or the ability to do this. Leadership style. Manner and approach of providing direction, implementing plans, and motivating people. Legal. An act that is allowed or is in conformity with the law of the land. Legal ethical. When the law and personal or organizational ethics are in accordance with each other. Legal unethical. Dilemma in which established laws are not in accordance or do not uphold the ethical choice. Legitimate power. Power that comes from one's organizational role or position. Linda recognizes that her subordinate, Kate, is very knowledgeable about using spreadsheets. Linda empowers Kate to create and manage all the company's accounting and financial documents based on this. What type of transformational leadership tool is being demonstrated? Idealized influence, inspirational motivation, intellectual stimulation, individualized consideration. Locus of control. Extent to which an entity believes the current and anticipated circumstances and its response to them are within its control. Machiavellian. Cunning, scheming, and unscrupulous. Manager. An individual who oversees a certain group of tasks or a certain subset of a company and often has a staff of people who report to them. A manager is meeting with an employee to provide coworkers feedback on the employee's interpersonal skills. During the meeting, the manager and employee discuss a plan to improve the employee's A in the workplace. Which method is the manager using to share A? Incident debrief, introduce coaching programs, use emotional labels and language when speaking. A manager who exhibits style of management provides employees significant freedom, trusts them to use their professional expertise to make sound decisions, and interferes only when necessary. Autocratic, participative, transformational, laissez-faire. McKinsey 7S. An organizational model developed in the 1980s by Tom Peters and Robert Waterman, the authors of In Search of Excellence, that analyzes 7 key internal aspects of an organization that need to be aligned if it is to achieve its objectives and improve performance. Mechanistic. Hierarchical, bureaucratic, Organizational structure characterized by 1. Centralization of authority, 2. Formalization of procedures and practices, and 3. Specialization of functions. Meditation. Focusing all of your energy and attention on one specific area of the present moment. Mindfulness. Consciousness of the present moment. Morals. Rules people develop as a result of cultural norms and values and are traditionally passed down through generations and characterize a cultural group. Motivation. Emotional tendencies that impact your ability to reach personal goals. Nonverbal communication. Expressing information without the use of spoken or written words, such as using body language, tone of voice, facial expressions, and even silence. Of the following communication types, select the one that is generally considered the most ideal, and then explain why this style works best. A. Passive. B. Assertive. C. Aggressive. D. Passive-aggressive. Oral communication. Expressing information or ideas through spoken words. Organic. Organizational structure characterized by 1. Flatness, communications and interactions are horizontal. 2. Low specialization, knowledge resides wherever it is most useful, and 3. Decentralization, great deal of formal and informal participation in decision-making. Organizational culture. The shared values, beliefs, and norms of an organization that affect the strategies and operating procedures of the business. Organizational ethics. Rules, principles, and standards for deciding what is morally right or wrong when doing business. Organizational structure. A system used to define a hierarchy within an organization. Participative style. Leadership style that seeks input from subordinates. Passive-aggressive communication style. Indirect communication style that uses hidden messages to express needs and ideas. Passive communicator. Tentative communication style used by those who are hesitant to speak up. Pentagon Papers. Illegal ethical conflict in which U.S. government officials leak top-secret papers to inform the public about government actions during the Vietnam War. People-oriented style. Leadership style that is primarily concerned with interpersonal relations in the workplace. Perform formal functions such as planning, organizing, leading, controlling, and coordinating. Leaders or managers. Personal communication. Information that is exchanged between sender and recipient for personal purposes. Personal competencies. Emotional intelligence competencies related to self-awareness, self-regulation, and motivation. Personal ethics. Codes, principles, and values that shape our interactions with others. Person-job fit. The degree to which a person's skill, knowledge, abilities, and other characteristics match the job demands. Person-organization fit. The degree to which a person's values, personality, goals, and other characteristics match those of the organization. Provide an example of when personal and professional ethics may conflict. Rational persuasion. Using facts, data, and logical arguments to try to convince others that your point of view is the best alternative. Referent power. Ability of the leader to influence people because of their attraction and respect to the leader. Rehearsing. When the receiver is preparing what to say in response instead of actively listening to sender's message. Relationship management. Part of a strategy to engage existing customers in order to retain them and understand their evolving needs or demands. It is a business paradigm where a business views the association with its patrons as an ongoing relationship rather than a mere transaction. Reward power. Ability to grant a reward to an employee in exchange for job performance. The Ritz-Carlton is customer-obsessed with a main focus of creating incredibly personalized experiences. During interviews, interviewers use a variety of techniques to determine if a candidate is similarly obsessed. This exemplifies A. Attraction, B. Selection, C. Attrition, D. Acculturation. Sarbanes-Oxley Act, SOX law aimed at improving corporate transparency by requiring clear reporting practices. Select appropriate strategies for interacting with different leadership styles. Self-awareness. Knowing your inner preferences, beliefs, and resources in order to recognize patterns in your behavior and thoughts. Self-regulation. Controlling your thoughts and impulses in order to manage your internal state. Sharing credit with coworkers and treating subordinates with respect demonstrates what level of organizational ethics? High or low simulation feedback. Participation in challenging emotional intelligence simulations in order to receive feedback on EQ competencies. Situational theories of leadership. Leadership theory that suggests that to be effective leaders must adapt their style based on the circumstances. Skills. Experience and behaviors associated with the application of knowledge. Smiling, fist pumping and jumping up and down are examples of what type of communication? A. Written. B. Nonverbal. C. Verbal. D. Visual. Social competencies. Emotional intelligence competencies related to empathy and social skills. Social skills. A broad range of behaviors related to managing relationships with others. Speaking the truth, respecting my elders, and never purposely hurting someone are examples of personal or professional, ethics. Stakeholders. Those who have a stake in the performance and output of an organization, such as employees, unions, investors, suppliers, consumers, local and national governments, and communities. Supportive communication. Used to preserve a positive relationship between communicators while still addressing the problem at hand. Surveys. Questionnaires that track preferred actions in specific emotional intelligence situations. Task-oriented style. Leadership style that is primarily concerned job tasks. Tina's cleaning team has a culture based on collaboration. Employees see themselves more as family members who value teamwork and consensus. Tian's cleaning team exhibits what CVF culture? A. Clan. B. Hierarchy. C. Market. D. Adhocracy. To be most effective and successful, a leader must be able to adapt his or her style and approach to diverse circumstances. This includes balancing one's with the followers. Transactional leadership. Leadership style that assumes employees have their own desires and will not be motivated without extrinsic rewards from leadership. Transformational leadership. Leadership style that assumes it is possible to intrinsically motivate employees so that their desires match those of leadership. Values. Stable life goals that people have, reflecting what is most important to them. Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale. An IQ test designed to measure intelligence and cognitive ability in adults and older adolescents. WGU Code of Student Conduct. The organizational code of ethics that governs responsible and respectful behavior at WGU. What are some benefits to an organization that has high organizational ethics? What are some traits associated with people with high A? What are the 5 principles of emotional intelligence? What are the 4 areas of emotional intelligence? What is the difference between A and IQ? What type of communication is effortful, exact and less natural? A. Written. B. Nonverbal. C. Verbal. D. Visual. Where do an organization's ethics tend to start? A. They develop over time. B. They start at the bottom and bubble up. C. They start at the top and trickle down. Which of the following is true about corporate social responsibility? A. It can be framed as a response to public backlash for a long track record of harming environments. B. It guarantees the company is acting ethically. C. It encourages promotion from within the organization. D. It comes at little additional cost to the organization. Whistleblowers. Those who tell the public or the authorities about alleged misconduct occurring in a government department, private company, or organization. Why is corporate social responsibility important to an organization and its local community? World Trade Organization, WTO, international organization tasked with promoting global trade, enforcing common trade regulations, and helping promote ethical behavior among members. Written communication. Expressing information in the form of written words. XYZ Incorporated uses images of a leafy forest to promote their Green Clean cleaning wipes. They advertise the wipes as being biodegradable, but the chemicals in the wipes do not break down well in the environment and the plastic container is definitely not biodegradable. This is an example of code of ethics, greenwashing, or whistleblowing. You witness an incident where you see someone display a low A behavior. Later that day, you visit the person to transparently discuss it. This demonstrates what strategy for developing a incident debrief, introduce coaching programs, use emotional labels and language when speaking.